You don't hate yourself because you failed. You hate yourself because your mind was trained to believe you're never enough. Even when you win, there's a voice in your head that never rests. It hides behind your thoughts, quietly whispering that you should have done more, been more, looked better, tried harder. It doesn't scream, it suffocates. It's the inner saboteur, the part of your mind that knows exactly how to hurt you without ever raising its tone. You think it's you, but it's not. It's the collection of every rejection, every disapproving glance, every time you felt unseen. It lives in you now, feeding on your silence. It tells you that what you have isn't enough, that what you do doesn't matter, that every success is just luck and every failure defines you. You argue with it sometimes, but it always wins, because it speaks your language. It knows your fears. It knows how to make you doubt everything that once felt right. It's not loud, it's precise. One sentence and you fall apart again. You wake up with it. You carry it to work. You take it to bed. It judges your reflection, your words, your pauses. It turns every mirror into a battlefield. You look at yourself, and it points out every flaw like it's doing you a favor. It tells you that maybe, if you fix one more thing, you'll finally feel okay. But you never do, because it never lets you rest. That's the trick. It promises peace only through perfection, knowing perfection doesn't exist. You try to escape it by working harder, by proving yourself, by achieving more. But the more you feed it, the stronger it grows. It rewards your pain with temporary relief, then demands more of it. It's a loop of control, self-doubt dressed as motivation. You start mistaking fear for discipline. You call it drive, but it's actually damage. You chase validation not because you crave praise, but because you're desperate to silence that voice, even for a moment. It's clever. It hides inside your standards. It convinces you that being kind to yourself means becoming weak. It tells you to never slow down, never forgive, never let go, because if you do, you'll lose your edge. It turns your potential into punishment, your goals into chains. You think you're pushing yourself forward, but you're actually being pulled by something darker. This voice isn't your enemy. It's your shadow. It learned from pain, and now it repeats it. It's trying to protect you by keeping you small, by making you predictable. If you believe you're never enough, you'll never risk becoming worse. That's the safety it offers. A prison built from comfort, a cage made of control. And here's the most twisted part. You trust it. You think it's keeping you honest. You think it's your reality check. But it's not truth. It's trauma disguised as logic. It tells you that self-compassion is delusion, that self-worth is arrogance. It keeps you in line by making you doubt everything that could set you free. Every time you look in the mirror and hear that whisper, pause. That's not you speaking, that's the echo of everything that once made you feel less. The dark psychology of inadequacy doesn't live in the world outside. It lives in the way you think about yourself. The real war isn't against others. It's against the voice that tells you you'll never win. And the moment you stop believing it, it starves. You didn't wake up one day feeling inadequate. You were taught to, conditioned to measure your worth against illusions. The world around you didn't want you to be content. It wanted you to compete. It needed you restless. Because a person who feels enough doesn't buy, doesn't chase, doesn't break themselves to prove anything. So from the moment you opened your eyes, you were fed a silent message: you are incomplete. Every screen you look at, every image you scroll past, every highlight reel, it's a psychological mirror built to distort. You see perfection everywhere, and your mind begins to calculate your distance from it. You compare your raw reality to someone else's filtered fantasy, and even when you know it's fake, your brain doesn't care. It's wired to compare. It doesn't seek truth, it seeks hierarchy. It needs to know where you stand, above or below, enough or not enough. You start believing that everyone else has it together, that you're the only one lagging behind, that success, beauty, confidence belong to others, not you. The world applauds the illusion and punishes the ordinary. So you begin to wear masks. You hide your insecurities behind achievements, filters, brands, and fake smiles. You craft a version of yourself that looks happy just to survive the comparison. But deep down, the more you pretend, the emptier it feels. It's not your fault. You were never meant to feel whole in a system designed to feed on your insecurity. The darker side of psychology understands this well. It uses your biology against you. Every like, every view, every comment, it's a dopamine trap. A loop that tells you maybe this time you'll feel good enough, but it fades fast, and then you crave more. It's not satisfaction, it's withdrawal disguised as validation. And the people who build this system, they understand human weakness. They know that pain sells better than peace. They know that envy keeps you scrolling, that insecurity keeps you working, that inadequacy keeps you consuming. You are not lazy, you're exhausted from chasing a finish line that keeps moving. You are not broken. You're reacting exactly as they designed you to. You start to notice the patterns. How everything around you screams perfection but feels hollow. How everyone smiles online yet breaks in silence. We're all caught in the same invisible cage, pretending to thrive while quietly drowning in self-comparison. You see, inadequacy isn't a personal flaw. It's a collective condition, a shared delusion we've all agreed to live under. You can't win in a game where the rules are meant to keep you small. The more you try to catch up, the more you lose yourself. Because the goal was never to be enough, it was to keep you trying. The system survives on your effort to fix a version of yourself that was never broken. And once you realize that, the illusion starts to crack. When you stop comparing, the world loses control over you. The noise fades, the race ends. You begin to see how much of your suffering was never yours to carry. You were not born inadequate, you were taught to believe it. And the moment you unlearn that, everything they built around your insecurity starts to fall apart. That's when you finally see the truth. You were never less. They just needed you to believe you were. It doesn't start in adulthood. It starts long before, in rooms where your laughter was too loud, your mistakes too visible, your needs too much. Somewhere between wanting love and fearing rejection, you learned a quiet rule: be perfect or be punished. That's where inadequacy begins. Not in failure, but in the small moments when love felt conditional, when approval was earned, not given, when being yourself didn't feel safe. So you adapted. You learned how to smile when you wanted to cry, how to shrink when you wanted to speak, how to achieve when you just wanted to be seen. Each time you were told you weren't enough, your mind carved it deeper until it became instinct. It wasn't a lesson. It was a scar that never stopped teaching. The child in you still remembers the tone, the silence, the disappointment. And now, every time you fall short, that same feeling returns like a ghost whispering, "You should have been better." The mind records shame like a camera. It replays it in moments of doubt, keeping you loyal to your own pain. You might forget the details, but your body doesn't. Every insecurity is muscle memory. Every apology for existing is a habit. You keep trying to fix yourself without realizing you're trying to heal from a story that was never yours. Someone else's standards, someone else's voice, someone else's definition of enough. You grow up believing that worth must be proven. You become the adult who apologizes for resting, who downplays success, who can't take a compliment without flinching. Because deep down, love still feels like a transaction. And when love feels earned, self-worth feels fragile. You build your identity around performance, around control, around never failing. And yet, no matter what you achieve, the emptiness stays. Because the wound wasn't healed, it was decorated. Psychology calls it emotional conditioning. You don't think your way into inadequacy, you're trained into it. The brain connects love with performance, and pain with imperfection. So even when no one's judging you anymore, you judge yourself. The punishment continues inside. Every flaw becomes a threat. Every mistake feels fatal. It's not logic, it's survival. Your mind still believes that being perfect keeps you safe. You can't reason with that kind of programming. You can only expose it. You have to notice when your fear speaks instead of your truth. You have to see when your standards are just shame in disguise. The voice that says you're not enough doesn't want progress, it wants control. It wants you obedient to the same pain that once kept you small. And as long as you obey, you'll never feel free. Healing isn't about becoming fearless. It's about recognizing that the fear was never yours. It was passed down, taught, repeated. It's the echo of someone else's pain living in your voice. Once you see that, everything changes. The self-criticism starts to sound unfamiliar. The guilt starts to lose its weight. You begin to question the old rule that said perfection equals love, and when you do, you break the spell. The truth is, you were never broken. You were conditioned to believe you were. The world didn't teach you how to love yourself. It taught you how to earn it. But the mind can unlearn what it was taught. The moment you stop chasing worth, you find it. The moment you stop performing, you remember who you were before shame spoke your name. And that's when it ends. The conditioning, the comparison, the quiet war within. You were never the problem. You were just trained to believe you were. There's a strange comfort in punishing yourself. You think it's discipline, but it's something far darker. You tell yourself that if you're harsh enough, if you push hard enough, if you never rest, maybe you'll finally avoid failure. But that's a trap your mind set long ago, a loop that feels safe because it gives the illusion of control. Every criticism, every harsh judgment you cast on yourself is a chain, and the more you pull, the tighter it grips. You begin to confuse pain with progress. Every moment of self-doubt, every pang of guilt, every whisper of not enough becomes fuel for your so-called motivation. You chase it because it's familiar, because it's predictable, because it makes you feel like you're doing something. You punish yourself to feel in control, not realizing that the control is always an illusion. The mind convinces you that suffering equals growth, that struggle equals meaning, that self-criticism equals safety. And you believe it, because it's the only truth you've ever known. You don't just hear the voice of inadequacy, you cultivate it. You feed it with your mistakes, your regrets, your insecurities, and it grows stronger. You think the harder you fight yourself, the closer you get to mastery. But mastery isn't punishment, it's freedom. You mistake self-loathing for self-improvement. You reward yourself with guilt, with anxiety, with exhaustion. Every achievement is tainted by the voice that says it's not enough. Every success is temporary because your mind knows no other way to operate than through self-denial. It's addictive. The more you criticize yourself, the more your brain releases a strange satisfaction. A small hit of control, a fleeting relief that fades as quickly as it comes, leaving you craving more. You don't notice how deep the habit runs. You think self-discipline is the goal, but self-discipline was just the cover. The real substance is self-punishment, and it thrives in silence. You become loyal to your own suffering. You learn to trust it, to believe in it, to obey it without question. You might try to stop. You might read a book, meditate, repeat affirmations. But the mind that trained you in pain doesn't surrender easily. It whispers even when you're quiet. It reminds you of mistakes, of flaws, of ways you fell short. It reminds you that if you let up, everything will fall apart. And so you keep punishing yourself, thinking you're climbing higher, when in reality you're trapped in a cycle designed to keep you small, anxious, and obedient to your own fear. The cruelest part is that you don't see the trap. It's masked as necessity. You believe the self-criticism is helping you, shaping you, forging you into something better. But it's not. It's a chain you wear willingly, a weight you carry proudly, a darkness you cultivate with your own hands. And the more you cultivate it, the more it convinces you that freedom is dangerous, that peace is weakness, that rest is failure. Breaking free doesn't come from more effort. It comes from seeing the trap, naming it, and refusing to obey it. It comes from realizing that the addiction to self-criticism is the only thing holding you back from yourself. You've mistaken pain for growth, struggle for strength, obedience for control. And in that moment of clarity, the cycle begins to crumble. You were never broken. You were only trapped. And now, you can step out. You were never less. You were only convinced you were. Now see the truth, and stop obeying the lies.